The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, I'm Carl Seidel, and we have
Steve Negron
and
Kevin Scully.
Hi, Kevin.
Two candidates that are running for office. Steve's running for the Congressional section number 2.
Yes, sir.
As congressman.
Yes.
And Kevin, you're on Ward 6.
State Rep in Ward 6.
Okay. And we're here to talk about the elections.
Right.
And we have a primary coming up in a few weeks. And what have you been doing? You've been out chatting.
Well, it's been crazy as we talked about the last time, right? It's 13 days till the next, to the primary on September 8th. Just want to encourage everybody to get out and vote. It's important. You know, a lot of people tell me, well, my vote doesn't count. But here in our very own state in 1974, the United States Senate election was decided by 2 votes. Mm-hmm. So every vote does matter, and for those people that are undecided, you can always go in there and pull a Republican ballot. We'll love you forever, and cast your vote. So it's very important. This is a significant election time and election cycle. So I like to urge everybody to get out to vote from the bottom to the top. We
had a lot of candidates running. That's why we have primary, because there's more people interested, and the voting thing is very correct.
Yes, sir.
How many times you're running for state representative?
Yes.
And there must be, we have 400 of those cases in New Hampshire, so there's a lot of voting there. But I think it's normal to have at least 10 places where they have to recount the votes throughout the state. And that means that there could be as low as 1 or 2.
Right.
And I've seen, in fact, in our Ward 1 where I ran 2 elections in a row where we actually changed the order of who won.
Wow.
Between the last person,
sure.
And the third person, 3 and 4
right.
interchanged.
Yep.
And so some people just don't know how to vote, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've gone through one of those things.
When I ran in 16, I had a recount.
Yeah.
And won by 36 votes. So, it's important. Absolutely.
But did you see some of those elections?
I did.
People don't know how to put their mark right. All sorts of crazy stuff on there. People, if you have a problem with your vote the first time, ask for a new ballot. Don't try to erase something and
right.
mark it, because then they throw the whole ballot out because
exactly
they can't
right.
tell which you intended
right.
to have. So please be careful about that and ask for help at the voting booth.
Right.
So, Kevin, what do you think that's going to happen in your ward?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I honestly believe that we're going to have another wave election. It's kind of funny. Ironically, 2018 was, I consider, the blue wave,
mm-hmm.
where a lot of the Republicans were swept out. But when we're looking at the absolute chaos and mayhem that's been happening in our cities right now, I think it's the choice between, what do you want to have? Do you
right.
want to have a society in chaos, or do you want to support law and order, the rule of law, equal treatment under the law? I think the lines are becoming very clearly drawn, and I think it's going to be, I believe, a very easy choice for most people when they go in there and vote, and that is to vote for the party that is going to restore law, order in our societies. We'll keep working on the problems. I mean, it was wonderful. I think it was Nikki Haley said, it was a wonderful line that resonated with me. She said, our people may be imperfect, but our ideals are not. Mm-hmm. And I do think that mm-hmm. we have the most wonderful political system, and the Constitution, through its process of amendments, has been getting better and better all the time. We have something here that's wonderful. It's worth defending. And I'm hoping that
right.
the average voter sees that too and comes out and votes for the people who want to keep the wonderful place that we have.
Absolutely. We were founded on an idea. Mm-hmm. And it's an idea that's still prevalent today. And what we're seeing right now, and me running for Congress at the federal level, echoes the exact same thing that Kevin's hearing at the state level. And, when we knock on doors and talk to people, we actually fundamentally don't even talk about our differences about size, scope, and reach of government. Democrats, I don't even call them Democrats anymore, but just the socialist left. They want to talk about how we're going to get through this pandemic, right? We want to get back to, not the new normal, I don't acknowledge new normal. We want to get back to normal. We want to get back to the way we were prior to the pandemic. And, they actually tell me, Carl, they don't want their town or their city or their hamlet to be a Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, and as recently as yesterday or 2 days ago, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So, this is the things that we're hearing, and they may hold their nose and pull the lever for both Kevin and I, right? But the thing is, they know at the end of the day, where some people want to take this country, fundamentally is one we were never, ever supposed to be at. We have some work ahead of us, but it's going to take everybody to work. Everybody's got to be rowing in the same direction, because if this turns out to be another blue wave, it may be decades, if not longer, before we can take our country back.
Definitely. Well, you saw some of the virus has made the whole thing change. But if you looked at the meetings of the Republicans and the Democrats just in the last 2 weeks, it is a complete difference.
Sure.
One is moaning and groaning and all the things that it's all black, and the Republicans are turning out some very invigorating.
Absolutely, there's hope.
There's hope. They have people that they know what they want to do,
right,
and they will be able to do it when they get elected.
Right.
They will finish cleaning up the swamp out there. They will do no taxes.
Right.
Keep the economy flowing.
Right.
And in fact, even increasing more than it was.
Absolutely.
And I think the most telling difference that I've seen so far between the two conventions is that the Democrat convention had nothing but the political class and the Hollywood elite preaching to us, telling us how awful we were, how bad we were, how badly we have to change
negative.
everything. And then the Republican convention, my God, everyday American people. I love that. Everyday American people were coming up on the stage and said, this is how Donald Trump has changed our lives for the better. And those are the people that really count in the end, right? Those are the people who get up in the morning, scrape the snow off their car, go to work, do the job because it helps other people, pays for their bills. All they want to do is to have some place to go where they can make a living with dignity, pay for their folks. And we need the people who understand that. And not people who just keep preaching at us how awful we are.
It was funny, Congresswoman Custer put out her recovery plan. There wasn't anything about the recovery in it. It was about fear-mongering. It was about stay at home, be careful, social distancing, don't do anything. It's out there. To your point, the positiveness of that's out there. And I saw this unbelievable picture that I will use probably until the day they put me horizontal. It was that, how can one, and it was a picture of an Australian sheepdog, and it was controlling 100 sheep.
Oh, yeah.
And the question was, how can one dog control 100 sheep? And the bottom line was fear. And that's exactly what the socialist left wants. They want us to be afraid of this. You know what? We're going to reach out. We're going to get past this COVID-19. We will. We will get on the other side of that. The trick is, who's going to be there on the other side? And we have an opportunity now, this election cycle, to make sure that those people, to Kevin's point exactly, that want to put this country back on the track that it was, because we were humming, right, prior to this pandemic hitting. We were unprecedented areas of growth, of lowest unemployment for everybody, but yet they want to come, and it's not good for them if they see success coming out of policies from this administration, because it goes completely against what their narrative is, because he's such a bad man, right? And then yet you have, I saw today, people criticizing our first lady because, and this woman, a very well-known Democrat operative, Hollywood type, they preach to us about inclusion. They preach to us about loving everyone. They preach to us about, bring everybody underneath the tent. And this woman says, isn't she American? Can't she speak English?
Yeah. Isn't it?
And here's an accomplished woman that speaks more than 5 languages.
Yeah.
Right? But this is the double talk. This is the double speak. It's not good for us, but it's good for them. And this time, I think both Kevin and I and everybody that's running, we have to have so much conviction in our race and what we believe in and who we are that, we're going to be respectful in our races, but we're going to come out hard. We're going to come out and we're going to make sure that people say and hear that there is a difference between us and them. And the fact of the matter is we have truth on our side, and I cannot wait to get past September 8th. I feel very good about our chances September 8th. I cannot wait to get back on the stage with Congresswoman Custer, because it's going to be a different Steve Negron. Remember, the UL endorsed us last time and called us the happy warrior, right?
Yes.
But we've dropped the happy.
Well, it is interesting, too, because, again, I keep hearing this chant from the left that silence is violence.
Yeah.
And there's something, I think they're right. Except we're the people who need to start speak up and talking now, instead of them constantly telling us how bad and awful we are and how they want to just tear up all the good things that we have here in America.
That's right.
Instead of incrementally improving them, which is what we've done all along. Right? I took a great idea and we've consistently made it a little bit better as we go.
Right.
I mean, those original words, all men were created equal. When they wrote them, blacks were still in chains, women didn't have the vote. But the kernel of what that truth was in that document, and we have been slowly but surely bringing it all to fruition here.
Right.
It's great now. We can make it better. Put the right people in there, because the folks on the left now, again, to me, the lines are so clearly drawn. They literally want to tear up our Constitution. What are they going to put in its place? What?
Well, they don't have an idea, right? They just want to have this freewheeling kind of, you're looking at anarchy, right? That's exactly what you're looking at. But they hide behind the veil. See, for years, I believe that that party has been doing a lot of things from behind the curtain. Yeah. Well, there's no question. The curtain is drawn back. They're out in the open. And now you exactly see how they want to take this country. And both here locally, right, in our wonderful city of Nashua, right, and in the state and then nationally. So they've thrown their cards down on the table, right? It's now our time to call them. And that's what we should be doing in spades. And I think, not to take away some of Kevin's thunder, but his line about, backing the blue, not defunding of the police, there isn't anybody in my mind, honestly, that puts their head down on a pillow and saying, I don't want a police force. There isn't, honestly. And I even believe some of them that are saber rattling over there, they don't believe that either. But they have to say it because they lack the courage of going against their party.
Right.
And, and courage has been my word of the day, like in Sesame Street, now for the last month and a half. Courage is hard. Courage in the face of who you think is your handler or your caretaker, you got to do it. And I believe, in my case specifically, she has not once has she condemned anything that's happening in Oregon or Seattle, and she won't come out about now, but she'll vote to defund the police. And she's going to have to answer to that. She's going to have to answer to the people of the 2nd Congressional District. Tell me how that's in the best interest of this state.
And our audience should be paying attention to that.
Absolutely.
Now. They should be asking those questions once she comes around or anybody else comes around.
That's right.
Ask what you feel about this.
I just wish that our press was indeed a neutral body that was taking both sides to task. Hey, I don't, come at me hard, but make me live up to my words and defend my positions. But why can't they do that with the other folks too? Right. And that's part of the real problem we have here. For instance, in the first night of the Republican convention, which I got a chance to watch, it was wonderful. Person after person coming in and talk about uplifting stories, how wonderful the American dream is. And I'm watching this and I'm sitting there going, this is so wonderful, after hearing nothing but how awful and terrible we are. And then the next day, the press started talking about dark. And the amazing thing was, I think Tucker Carlson called him out. He grabbed like 6 or 7 different talking heads from the different media. Every single one of them said dark. It was dark. They got their talking points.
Oh, you can,
and they're using it to try to basically hide the truth from the American people. And I think if we had an even playing field, there wouldn't be no contest at all.
Right.
I mean, if anybody wants to see how just what you said, you can go to the 3 stations that are on there that they use the same words.
Yes.
The same words, same sentence.
Yep.
They don't even have any imagination how to make a different sentence with the words.
Right. It is true. And I think it's incumbent upon everybody out here to realize you have to ask yourself, where do you want to be on November 4th? What country do you want to wake up to? And, if the dry run is, and I'm sorry to pick on Seattle, and I'm sorry to pick on Portland, and now Kenosha, but that's empirical. That's what has happened because of the lawlessness that's been allowed to permeate those cities. And if that's what you want, and I don't believe that's the case, then you know a way to cast a vote. If you want people that's going to put and defend this Constitution, right, as imperfect as it is, right, but we try every day to get better, then that's the decision that they have to make. It isn't about whether or not you think about government is big or government is small. It's back to a very fundamental core of how this country was founded and the beliefs by which our founding fathers authored that document. And it's that simple. It is the most significant, in my opinion, election that we're going to see in the next 50 years.
Well, even here in New Hampshire, where we don't have any violence yet, we don't have that. We have some of the same talk, and you got to worry about that. You got to go. I think Governor Sununu has done a good job in keeping control a little bit, because obviously our legislature has been gone wild with some of the proposals they have.
Yeah.
How they're spending money, everything is, we got another couple $1 million to put here, we got to tax that, we got to tax this, and you can't do that, you're going to have controls over that, you can't. And I think he's been able to, but he had a veto. How many bills?
Over 55 bills, I know for sure.
That was the first time. Then the second time, they didn't have that many going
Right.
through, but they had one bill with 20 other bills that were attached to it. That was the only way they could get something out there.
Right.
That's so cynical as well, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
rather than giving each idea and bill a single up and down vote, they put them all together figuring they can get 4 or 5 bad ones through because folks do want to have.
They never got it
Right.
through committee.
Right.
The ones they put in there, they never got the committees to vote on some of those things.
Well, that's what they did in the first stimulus bill, right? For the COVID-19,
Yeah.
is things that they could not get through the normal process, of understanding how because Congress controls the purse, they couldn't get it through the normal process. They added. The perfect example is the $25 million or whatever it was for some Kennedy Performing Center, right? Great. So it's in the bill, it goes there, but you're not even allowed to go to the Performing Center because of social distancing. So it defies logic. It absolutely defies logic. And they knew it was a well-orchestrated plan. They knew that they had this president and his administration in a corner. We were scared. We didn't know what was going on. We thought it was the zombie apocalypse, right? It ended up not being that, right? But, I get asked this question on many interviews. I said, what would you do differently? And I said, I would have a litmus test. If it did not directly affect something directly attributable to COVID-19, then it's out. Period. Yeah. That's it.
Well, I mean, they put in the things where they were trying to help people's, what was it, the shortage of their retirement funds. For 6 different states,
I know.
that were all down.
It was a bailout package.
Yeah.
For a lot. Now, was there some necessary spending in there? And I'm not a spender. Yeah, I do believe because of where we were. The only way to fix that is not another stimulus bill. Is release the shackles. Let businesses get back to work. Let them hire their people back. Let them start this economy going, and let it self-right itself. You start giving money from the government, it starts becoming a dependency. Yeah. And I've known a lot of small business owners in this state that they can't hire people because the people that they're working with, they go, well, I'm getting a check now and I'm not working. So what do I have to go back for?
$200 more than I could get.
Exactly right. And that's that dependency.
And I think it should be pointed out too, you are actually a business owner. You live in the real world. And Ann Custer doesn't.
She does. And here's one. They just voted Saturday on this USPS bailout bill. Yeah. Right? $25 billion. Yeah. Right? She wasn't even there. Wasn't even there. Voted by proxy, whatever they do. Just, it's amazing to me that we have an absentee representative. And she was out there squawking, oh my gosh, this president is trying to burn mailboxes and take stuff away from the UPS so you can't do mail-in voting. But she doesn't feel it important enough to be there to vote for these things in person. So,
I love our virtual town halls because it gives the appearance of public input, But you have to go through a call screener to ask your questions. So you get on there and you can tell you want to ask them a hard question. Guess what? You're not getting through. That's right. Have all the tough questions. What's your favorite color? That'll go through, and then she can pretend that she's actually getting real input from. Now, you have never
done it. I tell people, in my opinion, a town hall is where you go. Like I was up in a town on Sunday, where you help people set up chairs. Yeah. Right? They're just the old metal folding chairs. You put there maybe 25, 30 people. You sit in front of them and bring it. Right. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? You can't control it. Right? They're your bosses. Uh-huh. You don't get to Washington unless they vote for you. Right. And therefore, you need to be responsive to them. It's that simple. It's not a hard equation. And I'm sure there are going to be times that people are going to put me, God willing, if we win, on the hot seat. But you know what? That comes with the territory. It just does.
I like the way the Vice President candidate Harris for the Democrats showed pictures of her little meeting. Did you see what they did?
No.
They duplicated the pictures. So, I mean, it was so blatant. You could look at it and, that one and that one there is the same person. How stupid can that be? And hopefully people saw that. They didn't have enough people in there, so they had to make duplicate.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of the Democratic National Convention. I think that's when my insomnia kicked in, so just so I can go back to bed. And quite frankly, I was saddened that there's a faction that truly believe what they're spewing. That saddens me, that they really believe that this is the best that party has to offer. And today I just saw a clip on how during the debate stage during the presidential primary for the Dems, where Tulsi Gabbard just eviscerated the vice president nominee, Kamala Harris. Just absolutely took her to town. And of course, they've now ostracized.
By telling her the truth.
by telling the truth. It is what, you can't argue the truth. It is what it is. It's empirical, right? It's not opinionated. It's not what I believe. This is what you've done. And I think that's what we're going to have to do in this election, both in Kevin's race and mine.
No, I think you're right. We just have to speak plain truths. I mean, Harry Truman said, I just tell the truth and they think it's hell, right?
Something like that, yeah.
But again, looking at, what the Democrat policy is, hatred of America is not a policy to run a country on.
Right.
No.
Or to give you a positive path forward.
Or to build upon. It's just not going to work. It's never worked. This experiment has shown time and time and time again that it cannot succeed. It just cannot. I don't know why they think that they're special. So I had a...
You're talking about socialism.
Socialism, yeah. Okay. Just one person called me up and they go, they say, what do you believe about defunding the police? I said, I don't believe about defunding the police, but they do. And they go, no, they don't mean defund. So I said, I'll bite. What does it mean? He goes, it's realigning. I said, okay, let me just tell you something. If a guy has $100 and you take $20 from him to give to somebody else, you've just defunded this guy. And he goes, I said, I've looked it up, both in Funk and Wagnalls and in Webster. Defund says you take away, right? And so, but that's a battle cry. And all these battle cries right now, and we just have to be able to just put the brakes on and say, no, not on our watch.
Right. I mean, even like they love saying systemic racism. And I say to me, okay, you know something? Show me the law.
Right.
Show me the law that says we treat minorities differently and worse than everybody else, right? Show me the police manual that says we are teaching you to treat minorities worse, differently and worse than anybody else. Right. It's not there.
Right.
Well,
it's a lie.
They're very adept at turning around your words.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and make it sound believable, I think.
This guy, it was a radio talk show host, and he asked me that question about systemic racism. And I'm a minority. The only minority running in this state, right? And have I been exposed to things along my life? Sure. Was it a bad guy or bad gal doing bad things to me? Sure. But it's not an indictment against society as a whole. So I asked him, I said, okay, I'll answer that, but give me the definition of systemic racism. And he couldn't.
Right.
He couldn't. Now, are there bad people who do bad things to people? Absolutely. But you know what? It's not unique to one race, one color, one gender. It's not, right? I can find you examples over examples of any race against any other, and nobody has an outcry, right? So, are we always in a way to do better and to get better, to your point earlier on, you bet, right? We're not perfect, and we will have our moments that we fail, right? But we learn from that and we move forward. So, as I said, are there more opportunities today, August of 2020, for blacks, Hispanics, and females than there were in 1960?
Oh, yeah.
Answer is yes. Overwhelmingly, yes. So we've gotten better. Are we perfect? No.
Right.
But we're a work in progress.
Right. I know it's funny because I was listening, Joe Biden was saying we're basically a racist country, but we're good people. So which one is it here?
Pick one. Yeah, absolutely.
Pick one.
Absolutely.
Well,
and I think we're good people.
Right.
I think we Republicans are going to try to get out. We're going to use TV. We're going to use everything we have to make sure people are aware of what we're for. And I think people, especially the ones, the undeclared, who haven't said they're one way or the other, listen carefully, because we need, like we did in 2010, we need to vote for a more stable government, a government that responds to the people more.
Absolutely.
And we'll show you people, Republican candidates that are running for election, and they will tell you what they're going to do. And listen and see what they have. We all have good ideas, and we'd like to talk to you about them, how we're going to implement them.
Right.
But listen to our candidates. Ask the candidates, all the candidates, to get out and explain their position.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk about how they're going to be up there and what they're going to do.
And Steve, I got to know you when we were up in the State House.
Right.
I think you're the real deal.
Thank you, sir.
You've always been the same person on or off the camera. You've always spoken your mind. Everybody knew exactly where you stood.
Thank you.
You're living in the real world. You're a businessman. You employ people. You know how to get things done. I think you're going to be the wonderful candidate to get us from here to an even better place. I'm totally behind you on that.
Thank you, Kevin. And likewise, Kevin and I, we were freshmen together in the State House. And we kind of, we was like, let's share a sandwich during recess, right? Because we didn't know what was going on. But Kevin has become a stalwart, even after he had lost last
Both
time.
of you were very active freshmen.
Oh, we were.
Very active
It was fun, right? That's the one time. That's the one time you can say, "Well, I don't know what I'm doing."
We both, I think, felt the wrath of the speaker.
Yes,
one
we
time
did.
Or another, but
Yeah.
you know something? We represented our people.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening in. Continue to listen to Public Access TV, The People's View.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.